live from Eday, Rotterdam, on behalf of Sanoma Digital. I warmly welcome you here live, all the live viewers online. With my first guest today. He didn't even speak here, so we are the first to meet the guy. He was late, but everybody's late in Holland, so no problem at all. David, welcome. He's working for Facebook, leading open source and open standards initiatives, and is heavily involved in all the OpenID initiatives, and was recognized by Google and O'Reilly with an Open Source Award for his efforts with OpenID, and he's the youngest recipient in the history of the awards. Ladies and gentlemen, David Recordon. Do I say Recordon?
Recordon.
Recordon. How old are you? How young are you?
I turned 24 a few weeks ago.
Damn. So what age did you start working then?
I started working, well, I mean, I guess it depends on exactly how you started working. I mean, I got
when
involved.
You were 3.
Well, 3, yeah. No, I mean, actually, when I was in 2nd grade, so I was probably, I don't know, 5, 6, our teacher taught us Logo on Commodore 64s, and that was really like how I got into programming.
Okay, so the Commodore 64 was your first hardware thing?
I think Commodore 64 was the first, along with like the 286 at home. And then
I started with the Amiga.
Yeah, well, you have me beat, but
but I'm old.
No, but then through high school, I started getting involved in an open source project that was building forum software for the web.
Okay.
And through that, actually started developing my own business to host message boards with a friend, and then started working for LiveJournal as an intern in high school. So I don't know, it was probably like 17, 18 when I had my first like real job. From a programming perspective.
And how long do you work for Facebook now?
A little over a year.
A little over a year, okay,
yeah.
So recently.
Yeah.
And how you are senior open programs manager?
Yeah, so I head up our open source and standards programs at Facebook, have a small engineering team that works with me, and we really focus on helping the company do a really great job using and releasing open source, and the same thing with standards.
But are you a techie geek or are you a manager? Because your function says manager.
Yeah, well, so I'm a techie geek. Like
you love to write code.
I write some codes, yeah. But it's sort of a combination of the things I really enjoy are when it combines engineering and product and marketing and working with developers, working with entrepreneurs. Those are the sorts of things that I really enjoy.
And that's called Facebook, right?
I mean, Facebook is a great place in terms of being able to go and have an impact, working across a lot of different teams, working across a lot of different projects based on what you're interested in.
OpenID, right?
Yeah.
What's the status at this moment?
Of OpenID? So yeah, it was actually interesting. I went to an OpenID meetup in Amsterdam yesterday that Kik Williamse organized here locally. And this was one of the main questions of what's going on with OpenID, what's happening with OAuth, all of these different things. And so OpenID so far, I think, has been really successful. There are well over 1 billion OpenIDs. There are well over 50,000 sites.
Really
so that's where it's getting to, is the part that we really need to work on now is, okay, if I'm going and logging into a site using Facebook, well, I'm using OAuth 2.0. If I'm going and logging into a site using Twitter, it's OAuth 1.0. If I'm logging into a site using Google or Yahoo or Hives or MySpace, I'm using OpenID 2 and OAuth 1 combined together. What we really need to do is go and make this next version of OpenID be the technology that all of these different sites are going and using, and that people are using. It needs to be something where we're not just going and measuring OpenID of what is that potential number of users, but how many people are using it every single month.
But who will be, because it's for me, it keeps on being difficult because somebody has to, old-fashioned thinking, but somebody has to own OpenID. But that's exactly what you don't want, because the world will start using OpenID if it's some kind of a neutral, independent kind of thing. How do you see that, you know? Because there are different parties involved, also competitors of you, and they're all, but who's developing the technique? Who's developing the software and who will own it in the future?
Yeah. Well,
to get it trusted, you know what I mean?
I mean, I think that one of the really good things with OpenID is, well, not just if we created a nonprofit foundation that can hold all of the intellectual property, make sure that the technology actually is free, anyone can implement it, but we're actually seeing all of these different companies work together on making identity be something that is decentralized, that can be used around the world. And so you're having people from Facebook and from Google and Yahoo and all these different companies collaborate together and work on it. And that's what we see with OpenID, we see it with OAuth. And so this is where a lot of my interest is from an OpenID side, is how do we go and rebuild OpenID on top of OAuth 2.0? How do we go and make OpenID be something that works outside of the web browser, that works on my mobile phone, that works in desktop applications?
Yeah, because that's the trend we're heading to.
Exactly. I mean,
the
web is everywhere. Well, yeah, somebody was telling me that somebody said this yesterday. The web is dead. Long live the internet.
Yeah. Chris Anderson told the web is dead. Everything will be, apps that will be everywhere. And so, how do we standardize? How can we deal with this issue of that everybody is doing his stuff? How can we make one OpenID issue that we don't have to do any development, don't write any code anymore, just this is it, everybody uses it, and every user on the web will have his own data and can manage it? How do we standardize this?
So I think we need to look at the pieces of where there's value for users, for identity providers, and for sites that people are signing into. Those are like the three different parties that are really involved in this. There has to be value for all of them. And I think one of the things that we've seen the past few years is that just being able to have one fewer password or be able to go and just my very basic identity between different sites isn't enough value. And so what you're seeing is people are going and using Facebook for sign-in because they're able to go and create really personalized social experiences around it. Because I, as a user, am able to choose to share what information I want with these different sites, actually share who my friends are. And I think that's where we need to see OpenID get to. So OpenID has to be something that works with APIs, that's built on top of modern technologies, JSON and REST, like no more XML.
There goes the geek, there goes the geek.
Yeah, there goes the geek. This is what's going to be fun for me this afternoon, is like, I think I'm going to get in front of a crowd of a bunch of business people and marketing people, and hopefully...
There will be some geeks also.
Yeah, okay, well hopefully I break their brain a little bit.
And what do you think at this moment is like a cool example of making use of this new, well, it's not a technique, but a way of thinking, all that open stuff that you can combine things? What do you see as a Facebook point of view, as like an app or a function that you see? This is a cool example of how we can use it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was one thing that was built. I don't know. I think I saw it like a year ago. It's not something that I would go and use every day, but it was for an advertising campaign for a new Xbox game. And what it had you do was you would sign into the site, and it would actually go and use your profile information, your friend's profile information, profile photos, to go and create a custom video advertising the game for you.
Made by your content.
Exactly. So it was your content. So you were like going through this game, and I mean, it was probably something like Gears of War. I don't think it was that one, but it was like shoot 'em up game, like adventure game, and you're going through, flying through this video, and you're seeing your friend's photo over like on the wall somewhere, or like something like the band that you're interested in. And I mean, I think that's the world we're getting to more and more. For me, Spotify is extremely interesting. Like, I now am able to easily listen to the music that my friends love.
Watch TV, like, you know,
right.
in the Netherlands you see now a combination of your social network and online demand television, so you can see what your friends are watching, and you know, that's your TV guide of the future, I think.
And so I think this is one of the things that like Facebook's really focused on, and that's interesting to me, is how does social transform every single industry?
Exactly. As a wrap up, because you have to do your preparations on stage in a minute, how open is Facebook?
How open is Facebook? I mean, I think overall, Facebook is open. I think that there are obviously areas where we have a ways to go, but if you look at it, the Facebook platform was built from the beginning on giving developers and entrepreneurs a way to interact with people and keeping people in control over what information they're sharing and with whom. So, I mean, I think we came a long way with F8 this year of going and using OAuth 2.0 so that you can authenticate to our API in a consistent manner. I mean, the API itself built on JSON, built on REST. And for me, what's really exciting is continuing to work with our platform team and with other engineering teams on this balance between how do we create the best technologies, the best product experiences, the things that are really easy for developers to go and adopt, and standards. And I think there's so many times where you see some companies that go and just adopt standards, sometimes against making the best technology platform. And those two things need to come together. It can be difficult to do, of having absolutely the best technology, the simplest technology, making it easy for people to go and build with your platform. And making it open, right? And making it open.
Because that's some difficulties that Apple has, right? But we're not going to talk about their own social network Ping, because we don't have any time to talk about that. Last question. Sure. You met Hives yesterday.
Oh, well, I didn't really meet Hives. I met a few people from Hives at the OpenID meetup in Amsterdam.
It's a lot of discussion in the Netherlands because Hives was the Facebook of the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And now you're really growing in the Netherlands. Planning to do things together?
I have no idea. I mean, I work on open source and standards at Facebook.
Do you know the techie guys within Hives?
I met them for like an hour yesterday. I mean, just as part of this meetup. So I met a few people. But
I think you should cooperate and make cool stuff together.
Well, I mean, I think that's the idea of Facebook platform, is that anyone anywhere is able to go and take advantage of the information, the social context that's there to build great experiences around the world.
Yeah. I wish you a very cool day, a lot of luck on stage.
Thank you.
I wish I had time to watch, but it was an honor to meet you before the crowd does. Have a good day until next time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hey. And thanks for watching here live from Eday, Rotterdam. Bye bye.